What's up, everybody, and welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny, and this is a Black Diamond video. Black Diamond is my platform here on KRSTV that's dedicated to black thought and theory, black justice, black ideas, and the topic that I'm going to talk about today is Will Smith. What really happened? Now, those of you may have saw my previous video on the subject. That was my video that reacted to the situation right after it happened. And man, was it a shocker. It was the slap heard around the world, and it's got so many tongues wagging. Social media has been lit up for weeks in regards to Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, in front of the entire world. Over 50 million people saw that slap. And also the aftermath as to what has happened since then. It's been reported that Will Smith has been banned from the Academy Awards for 10 years, which I think is extremely harsh. I think maybe a year or two would have sufficed, in my opinion. And then also that Chris Rock, his shows have been selling out, since it happened. And let's just say this situation has been, it's been a shock heard around the world. And I wanted to wait until a lot of it calmed down before I gave my real thoughts and ideas as to what happened. And because, as I mentioned before, all I gave you was a reaction. This is after time watching everything and, letting things manifest and meditate in my mind, so that I can give a real analysis on what I think happened. And what I think went down was that we saw a black man have a complete nervous breakdown in front of the entire world. And not only that, we seen him attack someone who came from a similar background as himself. And it's actually tragic because I've been reading Will Smith's autobiography. I actually got it. I got the Audible version of the book, and a lot of the things he reveals explains why what happened at the Academy Awards went down. Because I think it was a building up of things over the years that led to that. Even when Chris Rock, poked fun at them back in 2016, where he poked fun at Jada Pinkett Smith, saying that you boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. And then he made the joke about Will, like, yeah, Will may be mad that you weren't nominated, but I was mad that you was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West. So there's been some tension feuding between the two guys for years, and I think we saw it all we saw it all explode on that night at the Academy Awards. But I think it was something that was even deeper than 2016. While reading Will's book, Will shares a lot about his past, especially about witnessing domestic violence between his parents. Now, this is proof that Will Smith grew up in trauma, and he witnessed trauma pretty much on a daily basis. And any person that lives in trauma, they're affected for the rest of their lives. I mean, and especially if you don't do the work to actually outgrow the traumatic experience. And a lot of cases, unfortunately, in the black community, we're taught to sweep things under the rug, or we don't openly talk about things, especially us black men who have been through traumatic experiences. We kind of internalize it, and because of that internalization, it builds up into the point that we explode like a bomb. And Will Smith actually witnessing that actually had an effect on him, and it began to just grow over time. And it's really alarming that we normalize. I'm doing a video. Sorry about that, y'all. But it just goes to show that because of us normalizing trauma in our community, we go through life pretending that everything is good when inside things are really bad. And I think that was the case for Will Smith. Ever since his childhood, he was taught to normalize trauma and taught to normalize, his traumatic experiences. I mean, even in his book, he says that he felt like a coward because he didn't attack his father. He pretty much saw his father attack his mom, and he, in a way, was stuck, which would be the case for a lot of kids who witness domestic violence. And I think, unfortunately, because Will Smith had said he was a coward, he created that idea in his mind, and somehow it manifested in his life throughout the years. Because personally, I don't think Will is a coward. I mean, when he talks about how he tried to make his dad laugh and make everybody happy, tried to make light of the situation so that he felt that if I make my dad laugh, he won't attack my mom. There's a strength in that. You were trying to calm the waves. You were trying to create a comfortable environment for your family to live in harmony. But unfortunately, that was a moment, and after that moment, passed, the vengefulness and the violence crept back in. And it's just unfortunate that Will never got counseling at a young age, because he definitely needed it. And I think he hid all of that pain and that trauma in becoming one of the best entertainers in the world. Becoming a rapper, becoming an actor, really throwing himself into his craft. On one side that was a good thing, but also it was a bad thing because he never healed from the trauma that he was forced to endure at a young age. And me being a community health worker, I deal with people who have experienced trauma every single day, and I've seen firsthand, even from my own personal life, of what happens when you don't deal with trauma. You become an explosive person where you can't control your anger, you can't control your emotions, you can't control your thoughts. And a lot of times we do detrimental things, and it's all because of undiagnosed and untreated trauma. And we can also say the same for Chris Rock. I mean, Chris Rock grew up bullied. So did Will. And it wasn't until Will became a rapper and around his teenage years that he started to gain some popularity. But before that, he was a victim of bullying just like Chris Rock. These were both black men who were victims of trauma. And Chris Rock even said that he was bullied by this guy so bad that he had came to school one day with a brick in his book bag, and when he hit the guy, the boy damn near died. And I think that shocked him to the point where he no longer wanted to be violent. Whereas for Will, violence was the only way he knew to solve problems or to exert his manhood. And to tell you the truth, what happened to Will is a problem with a lot of us black men who grow up under the guise of toxic masculinity, where we're taught that the only way to prove that you're a man is by proving your libido or becoming violent or brute to prove that you're a man, that you're hard and that you're tough. When yet, those are not the only ways to show your toughness, and those are not the only ways to show that you're a man. But when you grow up in trauma, and especially if violence is inflicted upon you, you think violence is always the answer. So, with all of this being said, I'm glad that Will is actually getting treatment. I think that this is a time for Will to finally heal, from the problems in his life. Those being personal, those being relationships, those being, business, all of that. Because I think this situation, he's been affected in multiple ways. And I think especially with him and his wife doing the Red Table Talk, airing their personal business, you pretty much created a platform where everyone on social media can chime in on your situation. And let's just be real, social media ain't kind. So I'm pretty sure Will has gotten a lot of backlash and a lot of, comments calling him a simp or a coward or a wimp, whatever. And those things, if you're a person who's been through a traumatic experience, those things you internalize and they can affect you in a very, very deep way. Even to the point that it could cause you to explode on one of the biggest nights in entertainment. I mean, let's be real. For us, the Oscars is a form of entertainment. For Will Smith and the likes that were there, that is a business event. Because you got studio heads, producers, writers, all the big names in the business are in that arena. And for him to do that in front of all of them, that's like the kiss of death. And it wasn't pretty. I mean, even seeing him accept the Oscar, you literally saw this man have a physical breakdown in front of everyone. And yeah, he was dead wrong for it. And I'm not going to excuse Will by any means. But I'm still a fan. I still got love for him. And I still love him as an artist. But sometimes artists have to heal in order to be greater at their craft and to be greater as human beings. And I also want to commend Chris Rock for not slapping Will back, because it could have easily turned into an all-out brawl like the Source Awards. It could have easily went there. But I applaud Chris for staying professional and keeping with the program, even though that slap completely threw him off. It was obvious. And it was unfortunate, too, because there were so many historical moments that happened that night. Ariana LeBose was the first openly gay Afro-Latina to win Best Supporting Actress, while Rita Moreno, who played the same role back in 1961, won the Oscar in 1962. So here it is, I would say, about 60 years later, we see Rita cheering her on. I thought it was a beautiful scene. You had Questlove winning his first Oscar for Best Documentary Film. And I think he was the first black man to win that. But sadly, that was overshadowed because he won the award right after the slap happened. We also had the first deaf man win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. We had the first black man produce the Oscars, Mr. Will Packer. Did a phenomenal job. I mean, the Oscars actually flowed like the river until that moment. So there were like multiple moments, and if you find out more moments that you want to highlight, throw them down in those comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Let's make this a dialogue, because I'm glad that Will is finally getting the help that he needs, and that I also hope that he will begin to heal from his past, and that he can forgive himself that he lost control. And personally, he definitely owes Chris Rock an apology, because you can't be going around putting your hands on people, bruh. We're grown men out here. I mean, it's cool when we were young and we were kids and we, had to scrap to prove who we are. When you're a grown man, that's not the way. Well, with the right, I'm not saying he should not have checked Chris, but that was not the time nor the place. And personally, I did not think that was the right way to handle that. He should have checked Chris if he felt some kind of way about that. And he wouldn't have been wrong for doing that. But he was wrong for doing that, for walking on that stage and putting his hands on that man while he was doing his job. So take it any way you want to. That's where I stand with it. Get down in those comments and let me know your thoughts on it. But I felt that this was something that I had to share, because it's been on my mind for weeks, and I wanted to allow it to register in my mind and in my spirit before I shared it, because I didn't want to just do it for clicks. I wanted to do it because I hope Will watches this. I hope anybody that's going through trauma watches this, that you're not alone, and that the first thing to do is to own your trauma and then begin the process to heal from it. So get down on those comments and let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. So until next time, everybody, take care.